Hello students, in my last class what I have discussed is all about the Harvard problems and back testing, measurement of risk when risk is measured by VAR or CAR, non-insurance method of managing the risk, asset liability management. We have already, so this, as I said, this is very important from the point of view exams also. It will be asked in the exams as well. So asset liability management is basically, I'll just revise it, then I'm going to explain you the risk management tools under the asset liability management. So ALM is the process involving decision making about the composition of assets and liabilities. So basically it includes the market risk, the liquidity risk, interest rate risk and currency risk. So how you're going to manage all the risk that will be exposing the bank towards the risk, that all will be managed under the asset and liability management. So a balance has to maintain between the assets and liabilities. That sort of management will be done through asset liability management only. So on and off balance sheet items also will be taken care by the asset liability management in the banks. So here the importance also we have discussed, evolution, guidelines. Here we have also discussed about the liquidity risk management, how we are going to manage the liquidity crunch or liquidity surplus as such. So when there is a shortage of cash in the banks and all, how the cash will be managed as such. Those all the things will be taken care under the asset and liability management. So RBI guidelines were like time buckets has to be maintained, like without any losses and all, how the banks are going to face the risk as such. So basically the assets and liabilities were like, in order to maintain a balance between the assets and liabilities, eight maturity buckets were introduced, like time gaps should be there between the assets and liability. Match will be done, matching will be done, like assets and liabilities matches will be done for a particular days. If they are not matching, if there is a mismatch between the assets and liabilities, that will be taken care as a residual maturity, and balance will be maintained for 1 to 8 maturity buckets were prepared, 1 to 14, 15 to 28, 29 to 90, 91 to 180, 181 to 365 days as such, and 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and above 5 years. So based on this, your time buckets, your assets and liabilities will be matched. If there is a mismatch, there is a negative gap. So a monitoring will be done by the RBI as such from time to time. So for there was a problem maintaining the 8 maturity buckets. Um, so what banks have done, RBI have done, is it has again splitted the time buckets to manage the risk. It was becoming difficult. So liquidity crunch was happening or surplus. A balance has to be maintained as such. So for that, the banks have introduced 1 to 14 days into 3 time buckets. That normally 8 time buckets are there, but 1 to 14 days they have again divided into 2 to 7, 8 to 14, and next day as such. So they altogether they have 10 time buckets. So that will be matched, and like that the liquidity risk will be maintained as such. So now what proper step has been taken place after this time buckets have introduced is, if there is a mismatch also, it should not exceed beyond a certain percentage as such of assets and liabilities. As such, you can check out over here. The net cumulative negative mismatches during the next days 2 to 7, 8 to 14, 15 to 28 days should not exceed 5%, 10%, 15 and 20%. So 2 to 7 days, it should not exceed the mismatch. The difference between assets and liability should not exceed beyond 5%. Whereas 8 to 14 days, it should not exceed beyond, or next day. Second day, it should not exceed 5%. 2 to 7 days, it should not exceed 10%. 8 to 14 days, it should not exceed 15%, and 15 to 28 days 20%. This is basically time limits. They should not exceed beyond these percentages. If they exceed, they'll a proper monitoring will be done, and again analysis will be done based on this study as such. So this is like the RBI guidelines were there to manage the risk as such. So then we have already also discussed about the ALM process, information system, ALM organization. Okay, information system. Here ALM process also have discussed this risk parameters, risk identification, measurement, management, policies and tolerance limit, manage liquidity risk, market risk, funding and capital assets. So in my today's class, we are going to discuss about the management of interest rate risk. So management of asset and liability management is utilized to control a bank's sensitivity to changes in market interest rates and to limit losses in its net income or equity. So basically, interest rates, when it affects the bank's financial condition as such. So it affects the banks in a larger way, because there will be a lot many fluctuations in an interest rates when you invest your shares in the stock market and all. You're going to pay the interest rates, or you're going to receive interest rate. Based on that, lot many fluctuations will be there, that has to be maintained under the interest rate risk. So basically, changes in interest rates will have an immediate impact on the bank earnings as well. So that has to be taken care. So financial service managers should pay attention to an institution's portfolio as a whole and how it contributes to the firm's goal of sufficient profitability and allowable risk. So over here, what it says, uh, it is utilized to control bank sensitivity to changes in markets interest rate. So when we here, it's all about bank risk, how to manage the bank's risk. So when the banks and all are dealing with so many transactions, then they have to taken place. They have to monitor from time to time all the changes that is being taken place in the market. So that will be taken care by the ALM, asset liability management. So as well, to limit the losses that will be arising from the fluctuations in the interest rates and the market risk. So either it could be net income or the equity. So these managers and all, they have to pay attention to an institution's portfolio. Portfolio over here means the combination of securities that the company is going to invest in as a important thing. And the main aim goal of any organization will be to get the maximum returns to the shareholders as such. So that is nothing but the profitability with a minimum risk as such. So variation in market rates affects both balance sheet items as well as the interest rates on the bank's market value of equity assets. So basically, the banks and financial institutions measures ALM on two reasons. The For establishing the amount of economic capital here means the get the maximum capital to the organization. That is the one main reason to maintain the ALM interest rate risk, and the other reason it could be to reduce the risk. Main aim of ALM is to reduce the risk of the banks and all. So the bank uses different approaches for maintaining the ALM that we are going to discuss now. They are gap analysis, rate shift scenario, simulation method, duration analysis, and sensitivity analysis. The very first one is gap analysis. The direction and extent of assets and liability mismatched is measured through gap analysis. So the direction and extent of the asset liability mismatch, as we are talking about ALM means here, we are going to discuss all the liquidity. It could be either it could be liquidity risk management, or interest rate risk management, or your exchange rate risk management. um, all the cases you're going to match the assets with the liabilities. Either it could be credit risk management as well. You're going to match your asset and liabilities. If there is a mismatch, that that plays a very important role. That will be given an important role, and a proper um, changes will take place, and either in decision or in the physical interrogation and all, and wise decision will be taken place as it. So here in interest rate risk, there are these many methods to reduce the risk as such: gap analysis, rate shift scenario, simulation, duration, and sensitivity. Gap analysis means here basically the direction and extent of asset and liability mismatch over different time intervals at a given date is measured through gap analysis. Time intervals over here means we were talking about liquidity 1 to 14, 14 to 90 days, something like that, 28 days, 28 to 19 days, like that. We have divided the time intervals also. So, in that, gap analysis plays a very important role. Why there was a gap? If there is a positive gap also, if there is a negative gap also, what is the reason for having the mismatch of assets and liabilities? That will given a due importance, and care will be taken place as such. So, gap analysis for a given period of maturity gap is calculated. So, measurement is basically done over different time intervals. At a given date, is called gap, or it is also called as mismatch risk. Banks and all will be very much benefited if there is a falling rates and faces loss by rising rates with a negative gap assets. So if there is a falling rate, they will get benefited. If there is a negative gap, they will face losses. So basically, the difference between the duration of assets and liabilities is also called as duration gap as well. So the very first step in this gap analysis is which can be anywhere. The gap can be anywhere between a month to a year. The selection of gap period is basically primarily depends on the short term and medium term forecast of interest rates as such. I hope it is clear. The next method of your interest rate risk is rate adjusted gap. In this approach, all the rate sensitive assets and liabilities will be adjusted by assigning weights based on the estimated changes in the rate for the different assets and liabilities for a given change in interest rates as such. So, it is very much superior to the maturity gap method, because in this rate sensitivity assets and liabilities will be taken considered. Sensitive assets and liabilities means which are like very importantly that have to be taken care, like cash, loans and all, short term loans, it could be, or long term loans, it could be. It's sort of a sensitive because you deal with the interest rates as well. So when you're dealing with interest rates and all, when you're dealing with interest rates and all, we need to pay a loan interest, or take a loan interest. What happens, it will be sensitive because you have to pay principal amount as well as the interest amount. So that will be considered as a sensitive assets and liabilities. So based on the weightage of how much principal amount you have taken and all, based on that weightage, the estimation, the rate and all the differences in the assets and liabilities will be measured in the rate adjusted gap as such. That's what is rate adjusted gap. Next is duration analysis. Duration is basically referred to the value and time weighted measure of maturity that considers the timing of cash flows from earning assets and cash outflows related to liabilities. So basically, it is related to measuring the mean maturity of expected cash flows, that is payments, It calculates the average time required to recover finances directed towards a particular investment asset. So we are going to calculate here the time duration, the maturity period or time duration of the assets and liabilities, and based on that, what is the what it affects on the price risk as well as the reinvestment risk while managing the interest rate exposure assets. So basically, the duration analysis studies the effect of rate fluctuation, that is the interest rate fluctuation, on the market value of assets and liabilities and the net interest margins with the help of duration assets. So that will be measured with the help of duration itself. So here also time weighted measure and value weighted measure on the maturity will be taken care, and the cash inflows of assets and liabilities will be considered. The mean maturity periods of future cash payments also will be taken into consideration, and the average time required to get the finances towards a particular investments also will be measured under the duration analysis. So basically, it measures the effect of interest rate fluctuation on the market value of assets as well as the liabilities and net interest margin with the time period as such. Okay. There are problems in this duration analysis as well as on the interest rate margins. We are going to do problems on this as well. Here we can check out over here. So the formula for calculating the duration analysis is expected cash flows in period T into period T divided by 1 plus YTM power T whole divided by current market value or price as such. So YTM is basically your yield to maturity, that is nothing but the returns from particular investment asset. Duration, D is nothing but your duration, N is time, CF is nothing but your cash flows on a particular period assets, T is the time assets. So let's consider a question. We'll do problem on this so that you'll understand better. I'll just explain you the formula again. Duration is equal to sum of n expected cash flows in period t, that is time, into period t, that is nothing but the number of years. Suppose the cash flows, that is nothing but the asset value, either you have taken a loan or something like that, it is for 5 years, let's say. So for 5 years you need to calculate individually. For 5 years you need to calculate the interest rate fluctuations as well as the returns coming from that particular thing as such, as a source as such. So that has to be taken care. That is nothing but the expected cash flow in the period t into period t, that is nothing but this 5 years, 1 2 3 4 5 like this. So 5 years you need to calculate, plus the current market value or price of that particular security that has been taken care as such. Let's check out the question as such so that you'll understand it better. Assume the bank gives a loan to a customer to be repaid in 5 years. Okay, a bank is giving a loan to a customer that has to be paid in 5 years. The customer promises the bank an annual interest payment of 8% per annum. Okay, 8% is nothing but the interest rate, the payment what you're going to get, you're going to pay to the bank assets. The par value of the loan is $2,000. The value, the amount of loan is 2,000, which also its price. Okay, because the loan's current yield to maturity is 8%. So interest payment is also 8%, and the returns to maturity is 8%. So calculate the loan's duration is asking. So let's do this problem so that the whole duration amount, how much time it will take to be repaid, that amount that we are going to calculate. So here as such question, in the question it has been given a bank gives a loan to a customer to be repaid in 5 years. Okay, so over here blank repayment, that is nothing but the number of years are 5. Okay, so your annual interest that has to be paid is 8%. The principal amount or the amount is dollar 2000. That just now the loan amount is nothing but the 2000, the par value that has been discussed. Just you can check out over here in the question. Your number of years are 5 years. The interest payment is 8%. The loan amount is 2000, and he's asking us to calculate the duration amount, right? Duration value as such. So the formula, I'll just write it again. Duration is equal to summation of n expected cash flows in period T into period T divided by 1 plus ytm power T the whole divided by current market value or price as such. So now let's do what you have to do over here is you need to calculate the numerator. This is nothing but the numerator formula, right? Expected cash flows in period T into period T divided by 1 plus ytm power T. You need to calculate all together for 5 times. That is from 1 to 5 year, 5 years as such. So individually you have to do one after the another. So let's start doing it. The first year, second year, like that. And one more thing, what I have to tell you over here is the interest amount will be how much. If the amount is 2000, the interest amount will be the expected cash flows we are talking about, $2000 into 8%. It will come to $160. So every year you're going to pay is $8. Okay. So that is what we have to consider over here for 5 years. So over here is equal to 160 into the formula for calculating is period is nothing but 160 is the expected cash flows in period 1 divided by 1. 1 is nothing but your time period, first year, divided by 1 plus ytm is nothing but the interest rate, the return that has to be taken care, 0.088% it is. So we are going to write down 0.08 power 1. Okay, this if you calculate you're going to get some sum of, I'm just going to write down here, you need to take plus, and for second year also you need to calculate the same manner, 160 into the second year. Now for first year it was 1, for second year you need to calculate 2 divided by 1 plus 0.08 power 2. The same manner plus 160 into 3 divided by 1 plus 0.08 power 3. You need to calculate this all for 5 years, because the life of the loan that is to be repaid is 4 years as 5 years as is. 160 into 4 divided by 1 plus 0.08 power 4 plus 160 into 5 by 1 plus 0.08 power 5. And in the last year what you have to take is you have to take the principal amount as well. Okay, I'm just going to write down over here bracket so that you'll understand it better. All the time when you are calculating the duration or any returns with principal amount also, because at the last year you pay the principal amount as well with the interest rates. Okay, so over here it will be plus 2000 as well in the last year you're going to consider. So now you need to calculate these all the values. For first year, if you calculate this, it will come to 148.14 for first year. For second year, it will be 274.3. For third year, it will be 381.04. For fourth year, it will be 470.42. For fifth year, if you calculate this entire 160 into 5 by 1 plus 1 0.08 power 5 plus 2000, if you calculate this entire, you are going to get 6000, no 7000 it is. You are going to get 7350 rupees. If you total it up this all, because you need to calculate the duration as well, we are calculating only the numerator value as such. So here it will be 8624.26 is there nothing but the amount of returns, the yield amount you are going to get, the entire amount of loan that you have given 2000 as such. So over here now we are going to calculate the duration amount. On here we got the numerator value as such over here is equal to 8624.26 divided by the current market price. What's the current market price is as well? What he has given in the question you can check out. The par value of the loan is 2000, which is also its price. Okay, that is nothing but the current market price that is being given. So we are going to take over here as 2000 only. So 2000. So duration you are going to get is 4.31 years. So this is how you are going to calculate the duration amount. So within 4.5 years, 4.31 years, you are going to return your payment assets, the loan that you have taken. So duration is nothing but basically to calculate the number of time, the number of months and number of years it will take to repay back your amount or take your amount assets. So that will be calculated through duration assets. I'll explain it again so that you'll understand it better. So basically what we have done is we have taken the time period that is nothing but the 5 years that has been given a loan amount, loan number of years, annual interest that has to be paid on the loan is 8%. The loan amount is 2000 assets, so interest amount will be $160. So for calculating the duration, you're going to take the formula that has been given. Expected cash flows in period T, that is nothing but the number of years. So here it is 5 years. You need to calculate the cash flows as well as the interest rate for altogether 5 years assets into period T divided by 1 plus YTM power T assets. So this, the numerator value we have taken for 5 years. 160 is nothing but the returns on the loan amount into 1 is nothing but period 1 divided by 1 plus 0.08 is nothing but your yield to maturity. So returns on that particular cash the loan asset. So for 2 years, for 3 years, for 4 years, for 5 years, at last in the 5th year you have to add the principal amount also that you have taken as a loan asset. So after calculating for first year you got 148.14. You need to just 1 divided by 1.0.08 per 1 you need to do. After getting that value you need to multiply. Okay. For second year as well, 2 divided by 1 plus 1.08 power 2 you need to do. Then you need to multiply with 160 assets. If you do this all, you are going to get these values, and at the end you are going to get the numerator value of 6024.26. So the same manner, the denominator value is $2000. So this is how you are going to get the duration value 4.31 years as such. I hope this is clear to all of you. So now let's move on to the next uh, method as such. Next one is simulation method. Simulation process helps to analyze the potential effects of interest rate changes on current earnings and on the economic value of credit institution assets. So basically, uh, so simulation basically it's a very one of the popular approaches in ALM thing, interest rate management as such. Here it is used to map the balance sheet and income statements based on the various economic external as well as the uh, internal factors as well. So it helps to analyze the potential effects of interest rate changes on the current earnings as well as the economic value of the credit institution. That is nothing but the in terms of capital assets, how it is affecting, that will be measured in the simulation. So the main differences between the uh, economic value and the above duration approach is, simulation includes all future cash flows that are currently known. Okay, so that will be measured under the simulation process as such. So it facilitates risk exposure calculations with a very high degree of accuracy and flexibility, even for complex portfolios. Complex portfolios means over here the combination of securities you're choosing. Either you're taking a long-term loan or a debenture or a mutual fund, something like that. When they are complex portfolios as such, where you invest your money, hard-earned money, so that will be that exposure, that risk exposure will be calculated with an accuracy and flexibility. Even though it is a complex portfolios and all, that will be measured in the simulation. So it is it reflects only the cash flows with the observation period as such. So risk exposure coming out of the very high degree and all, that will be measured. So basically simulation techniques are there. I hope it is clear simulation to all of you. Next is simulation technique as such. Under simulation techniques you have basically two: static simulation and dynamic simulation, what you have written in the slide in the PPT. So in static simulation, what will be done? On and off balance sheet items will be taken care of. The current period will be valued. On and off balance sheet items. On balance sheet items means you all are familiar, the assets and liabilities, all the assets and liabilities of the company. Off balance sheet items means over here the assets which will be ideal. Non performance assets also will be there. NPAs, non NPAs will be there. Off balance sheet items will be NPAs will be there, like non performing assets which will be there in the company for time to time, from long time onwards, but it will not be used as such, they will not be performed, will not be considered. That are the off balance sheet items that will be measured under the static simulations. They both will be considered and their current period will be calculated, whereas in the dynamic simulation, it creates a complete hypothesis about future act of interest rates and sudden changes in the bank operations. So basically, dynamic takes into consideration assumptions about the future act of interest rates. What could be the future of particular security and the interest rates and the changes as well in the financial service, the bank operations also will be considered. So basically, the various types of interest rate risk that will be considered under the dynamic situation will be rate level risk. Rate level risk is basically the a type of interest rate which assets that are of fluctuation, interest rate fluctuations, are variable over a period of time. That will be considered over here. Uh, And next is volatility risk. Volatility risk is nothing but the unpredictable changes that will be arising from the fluctuation of the interest rates as such. The pricing policy and their business volumes also will be considered. This risk is basically a change of a price of a portfolio when there is a mass change in the product, unpredictable changes happens. That will be considered volatility risk. Also will be taken care under the dynamic simulation as such. Basically, in dynamic situation, as well as for the volatility, portfolios of derivative instruments will be considered over here for calculating the or for measuring the risk as such. So if there is a prepayment risk as well. Um, what happens, when there is a fluctuation in the interest rates, that may result to prepayment of loans as such. Because if say that after 1 week like that interest rates are going to increase, so what people will do, instead of paying, why need to pay more interest, let's pay now itself, so that paying more interest rates can be avoided as such. That also will be risky as such. Interest rates are declining. Any cash flows that may arise due to prepayment of loan will have to be taken care as such, because that will result in giving lower yields. Yeah, so that's another one. Basis risk, when the cost of liabilities and yields of assets are linked to different benchmarks. So what happens, that will result in floating rate, or there is no simultaneous matches of movement in rates as such. That will lead to basis risk and a fluctuation of interest rates as such. The another one is real interest rates. When you're talking about real interest rates, when the interest rate that has been adjusted to remove the effects of inflation, the increase in the price as such, that will also lead to loss of funds to the borrower as well as the real interest rate to the lender. So real interest rate is not basically normal interest rate minus the inflation increase in price. Okay, suppose let's say if you're earning a 4% interest rate per year on your savings or something like that, and your inflation rate is 3%, so then your real interest rate will be 1% what you receive actually. So nominal interest rate earning is 4 and your inflation rate is 3, so actual interest rate what you're earning is your 1% as such. That's what it is. So that is simulation. The next method is, it's a part of duration itself. You don't have problems under the simulation. We had only problem in the duration. And gap analysis also very small problems, that is of no that will not be asked in the exam as well. Let's see if I can show you that sort of also. Duration, we had one problem. I'll give you a few problems for the assignment as well, but what I have done is I have given in the first lesson only for you people the assignment, but you have not done in the first unit. So I'm like backing myself to give any further more assignments to you, because there is no proper response for giving the feedback assets from you guys. So the next method is simulation, what I have discussed just now. So the next is, this is the part of duration itself, net interest margin as such. That this is a very important method, for hedging the risk, because for reducing the risk, banks and all, they have to hold a fixed interest margin to safeguard the bank profits against any severe interest rate fluctuations as such. So basically, net interest margin is nothing but net interest income divided by total earning assets. So net interest income is basically the difference between interest income from loans and the interest expenses on the deposits and the borrowed funds. So basically, it is nothing but this difference between your incomes and expenses as such. So I hope it is clear to all of you. Net interest margin, I like it's basically net interest income divided by total earning assets. Uh, the problem and all we are going to do in my next class. So I'll wind up the class here. This I'm going to explain it again. This net interest margin in the next class. So you have more this problem also we are going to do in the next class. He is asking us to calculate the next interest margin by giving the information. Credit risk also you have, and others also you have problems. This we are going to do in my next class as well. You all guys, bye all of you.